Hi you guys, this is Carice with Scofield Farm, and I am here to talk to you today about what you can do in February to ensure you have a very successful summer garden. I am excited to share them with you because I think it's going to really help you succeed. I have been growing vegetable gardens for 15 years now. I've been growing herbs and flowers even longer. And so I would love to help you be ready to be so successful in your garden and have this year, 2024, be even better than last year. Or maybe it's your first year. Take some notes, get a pen and paper, write down my advice because I think it's going to help you get a great start to gardening. And if you hang with me till the end, you're going to get my most important piece of advice, my biggest tip for gardening in February, and what it looks like to ensure you have success this summer. I am so happy to be with you today and share with you because I have got the gardening bug bad. Even recovering from surgery and not being able to do a whole lot, well, not really anything with this arm. It's an immobilizer, but I can do a lot with my other hand. I am left-handed and it's my left arm that I had surgery on, actually my left shoulder. So I'm becoming pretty good with my right hand. You might say when we're done with this 4 to 6 month recovery, I might end up being ambidextrous. Okay, let's get started. There's a lot of things I can't do in my garden right now, but there are things that I actually can do. And this is the month of February, and no matter what zone you live in or what part of the country, this is a perfect time for getting ready for your summer garden. And I'm getting ready for my summer garden, even in an immobilizer brace, just like everyone else. And I want to show you the different ways that I am working to get ready for my garden now so that I will have a very successful summer harvest. If you've already started seedlings and it's above 50 degrees outside, you can start taking them out for just a little bit of hardening off at a time. I find if I do this early, they tend to be stronger, healthier, and they harden off when you're really doing it much better. I'm not talking about like getting them ready for planting. They're not near that. I'll just bring them out on a day that's above 50 degrees for maybe 15 to 30 minutes. Have that in the shade or in some filtered light, and then bring them right back in. And I feel like it helps the plants overall be a lot healthier, do a lot better. And wow, this is a mess. I don't know if this is the chickens, the dog, or the big windstorms the other night, but wow, it looks like a junkyard right here. Oh my. Hello, chickens. I haven't seen you for a while. I haven't been out here. How are you surviving all the storms? Wow, I haven't been out here for a while. It's looking pretty good. In February, one of the things that you can do to get ready that I do is I check the garden. I check the beds, I check the paths, I look for any place that maybe needs to be mulched a little better, any place that needs to be weeded or pruned, that might need a new layer of compost on it, anything that is remaining in the garden that might need to be harvested. And I try to get an idea for how my garden is laid out and just take a look at it and think about where do I want to place things for the summer garden. Do I want to place the peppers in the same bed they were before, or would I like to move them? What would I like to be growing up my trellises? What do I need to work around that's going to stay in the garden, like the onions and garlic that I have on the perimeter? And what is going to be out and free up space? I want to take time in February to assess all these things so that my summer garden can actually be planned out purposefully and laid out to grow the most food possible, and also to have room for the flowers for the pollinators. If you've been around here long, you know how much I love flowers and I love pollinators. One thing we needed to update in our garden was re-mulching the paths with wood chips. And my 16-year-old son spent many days out here bringing wheelbarrows of wood chips, flattening it out. It really looks so much better. This is going to make such a difference in working in the garden. This will suppress weeds. It makes it much easier to walk on. I think this is going to be really nice. It has an overall very nice, clean look to it. We originally did the wood chips when we first laid out the garden, but they break down, gophers make their mounds, weeds come through. This is a nice reset for February. An accidental rainwater catchment. It rained so hard the other day. Plants love rainwater. We have these nursery pots. They blew all the way over here. We need to pick that up. But I wanted to show you how good my Japanese giant mustard are looking right now. They just loved that rain. Do you see that vibrant color? I love color in my garden. I love purples. I love purple in the garden, and you're gonna see in my garden as we get to spring and summer, I love to plant purple vegetables, purple flowers. I think the contrast with the green is so lovely. It's one of my favorite flower colors, and the pollinators love purple as well. And if you've been around here for a bit, you know I keep bees, so I'm always looking for ways to make the bees feel welcome in my garden. You guys, there's already an asparagus coming up. That is crazy. Well, that will be in my February plans. I'll be harvesting asparagus for the first year. We planted asparagus 3 years ago, and this is the first year that we get to harvest it in the spring. And I'm so excited. I love asparagus. It's so expensive at the grocery store. And it's one of those things that you have to be patient. You have to plant ahead of time and then just wait until the right time. Because it's a perennial and it will come back every year, but you can't harvest it the first 2 summers you have it. You have to wait till the 3rd so it gets established.
I think that's how you're supposed to do this.
The first asparagus. Oh, I can't wait. It looks like a few potatoes are peeking up in the potato bed. This was supposed to become a pea bed, but a lot of my peas over there, you'll see the little trellises I built, were eaten by birds. The birds definitely enjoyed these peas more than I've been able to. But one thing that you can plant in a February garden if you're in a warmer zone is you can direct sow some peas to come up as soon as it warms up. And they will be a great payoff. And when I say harvesting things to make room, this tatsoi already thinks that it's warmed up too much and is starting to have tiny little bolting flowerets. So it's time to take this out and to eat it with eggs in the morning. I like to harvest things at the soil line and leave the roots intact so they can break down and continue to feed the soil and have good soil health. That's a good one. Now the garlic on the edges of my beds will stay in till about Father's Day. That's when we harvest. So I come look at the garden and I think about how much room I have when I need to work around things like garlic staying in the beds. A lot of these kale we will harvest before we plant out our summer garden, but I might let a couple stay. We'll just see how it looks. The cauliflower didn't go quite as planned. This one is fully bolting and I'm just gonna leave it for the pollinators. This one, however, looks like it's compact and maybe it will grow a little bigger. We're also going to harvest some of my sprouting broccoli that definitely sprouted and gave us flowers. You can eat the flowers of broccoli heads. They are completely edible. When you cut broccoli, you want to cut the top at an angle to help things keep sprouting. These broccoli aren't very big, but they have a little bit more potential. Maybe we'll check them in a couple days. We can eat the leaves of cauliflower similar to kale, and so we will take this inside and I'll just put it in breakfast. Growing brassicas in Northern California over the winter is always an adventure. You really never know how they're going to do. It looks like my Chinese cabbage over there is just about ready to pick. The centers kind of want to bolt, so we will have to plan a Chinese chicken salad and enjoy them. The colors are just lovely, right? As I said, purple is a star of my garden. As I was checking this bed, I found out that there's a whole section right under this alyssum that was never mulched. This is one of the things I look for in February in my garden are places I need to add some more soil, I need to add some mulch, I need to pull some spring weeds like this grass. I look for these things so I'm not caught unaware when it's time to actually start planting things out into the garden. We're going to free up a lot of room in here once we harvest all of these Chinese cabbage. I definitely have some grass weeds to pull. This is part of why we mulch. I have a whole video on the benefits of mulching, and one of them is it helps you not be overwhelmed by tons and tons of weeds when you come to plant after a whole winter off, if you don't grow year round like we do. I am noticing several places where the mulch wasn't as thick as other places, and so weeds are coming up. So I'm going to make a note on a list of to-do things, and we're going to do a better layer of wood chip mulch. That's how we choose to mulch our garden. Some people use straw, some people use hay, although that will sprout seeds. Some people use crushed leaves, others use pine needles. There's lots of ways to mulch your garden. You can choose what works best for you and what you have available, but the key is to mulch with something because that's going to help your beds in so many ways. Another chore I need to do that I didn't do over the winter is pull these tags. This is something I can do in February to make life not such a headache in the summer and spring, is to do all these kinds of cleanup while the garden is mostly resting. Last year, I ordered a pen on Amazon that was supposed to be specifically fade-proof for the garden, and I think it did a pretty good job. These were facing west, which is the most brutal sun. We get 115-degree hot afternoons about 5 p.m., and you can totally still read them. I'm going to use that pen in the future, and I can actually just wash these up and reuse some of these tags. That is great. Hopefully my physical therapist isn't upset that I got all of these tags out of the garden with my good hand. I promise I was not moving my left arm. Another thing I check in the garden are different flowers that can overwinter in our zone. We're in zone 9B in Northern California. This is a snapdragon I planted last year, and it only grew bigger over the winter. My purple carpet alyssum, those survived the winter really nice. And over here, you will see California poppies in the walkway that are almost ready to go. And we even have some little calendula. That is a strawberry blonde calendula. It is one of my favorites, and it overwinters here as well. Another thing that you can do to ensure success in your garden is in February, go see what did well in your winter garden, make notes about what did well in your fall garden. If you haven't made notes yet about last year's spring and summer garden, go ahead and sit down and take some notes. It's always helpful to write down when you planted, what the weather was like, when your last frost date was, when your first frost date was. These kind of things help me change my plans, alter them, ebb and flow, so that the following year or the following season can be as successful as possible. One note I will definitely be making myself is I will be writing down how wonderful this new to me kale variety has done. It is called Cyber Frill Kale, and I absolutely love it. This is a very reliable variety, and I don't want to forget, so I will be writing that down. I feel like we're both sitting here just waiting for spring to come. My daughters harvested a lovely huge colander of lettuce last night, and we made a chicken taco salad, and it was so delicious. I love growing lettuce in the winter, in the spring. Those are the best times for lettuce in our area. They don't usually do well in the summer because it's just way too hot here. One mental note I'm making is this strawberry bed desperately needs to be thinned, needs to be pruned, needs to be fed. So that's going down on a list as I assess my garden in February. I want these to be as juicy and fruitful as possible in my summer garden, so I'm taking note of this now. Look at that celery. We need to make a really good soup with that stuff. Wow. That variety, Celery de Aline, has done so well. I'm jotting that one down too. This is a new staple for my garden. Another thing that can be done in a February garden is direct sowing of radishes, carrots that can go straight into the ground. Colder climates will still have to wait, but medium to warmer zones can take advantage of this quick planting and enjoy a little fresh produce really soon. One thing I'm thinking about in February is what do I want to grow on my arch trellises? My arch trellises have been my favorite spot in the garden for a while. I've grown butternut squash, cantaloupe, loofah, pumpkins, beans, all sorts of things on my arch trellises, and this year will be no different. However, I'm going to be adding some new varieties and maybe moving things around. They may look like this now, but soon they will look like this. This time of the year is the time of year to dream. This giant parsley lives up to its name. It is no joke. They are massive, and we have harvested from it so many times too. Which brings me to another point about what I can do in February. I can prune my perennial shrubs like sage, parsley, lavender, rosemary. I can prune them back so that they can be very, very fruitful and vibrant come spring and summer. That's one thing that I actually need to work on. This fall we took out one of our big culinary sage bushes, and that was a huge chore. But we left one in, and I haven't cut it all the way back. So that is on my list of things to do in February. This lavender badly needs to be pruned back. I don't think I can do it one-handed, so it's definitely one thing I'm gonna have to ask my family to help me out with. Wow, is it massive. One more thing to consider when you're assessing your garden and what you want there is some sort of seating. Last year, my husband got me a giant umbrella so I could just sit in a chair with a little side table and I could sip some coffee, I could read my Bible, I could just watch the pollinators in the garden, and that has been one of the best investments that we've made. It's nice to make sure you have a place to sit and enjoy your garden. Gardens are so much work. Why not have a way that you can enjoy your hard work, take in how everything is doing, what you need to work on next, and dream for the future. I got that open one-handed pretty well. Another thing I've worked on since I've been stuck indoors a lot, we've had a lot of rainstorms and I've had my surgery that I'm trying to rest from, is doing a seed inventory. I'm finally going through my seeds and making a master list where I write down all the varieties I have. I check off what I'm planning on including in the garden this year. I check if I actually need to order more seeds soon of any particular variety. And this is gonna help me for years to come. I'm the type of person that tries to be organized, but I have like 5 different lists in different places, and then I forget where I wrote things and I don't access them later. Making a master list of my inventory, I think will help me know what I'm doing, not forget to plant something that I really enjoy, or not go to start my seeds, like my tomato seeds, and realize that I only have 3 sun gold seeds, which is the status I'm at right now. So now I know I definitely need to place an order for sun gold. Those are my very favorite cherry, and they must be included in my garden. In our area, February is also the time when we prune most of our fruit trees. Now, if you're going to prune a stone fruit tree, you need to wait till it's going to be dry for at least 3 days after pruning so you don't make them more susceptible to disease. We also spray our peaches and our plums, and I'm trying to think, I think our apricots as well, with a kelp foliar spray. It acts similar to how a copper spray would act in preventing leaf curl. And I know that it seems a little out of the norm, but we went to a local garden center a couple years ago and they recommended it. And since then, we haven't battled leaf curl. Now, hopefully that stays true after I told you guys that online, because I'll be eating my words if we get a bunch of leaf curl this year. February is also a good time to just take a quick peek at bees if you keep bees and see how they're doing. If there's any activity by their hives, are they quiet? If you want to open the hives, you want to wait till a day that is probably in the high 50s to 60s, just so you don't give them chill. You can see how there's forager bees right there that are coming in and out. This would have been a good day for us to take a peek inside and maybe feed them, give them some sugar water or some pollen patties, but we'll have to wait till a different day because I can't lift them after shoulder surgery, so I need my husband around to help take a peek inside. We are just getting buds, so we do need to spray these peach trees now. If you have citrus trees, at least around our parts in Northern California, it is time to give a citrus food on the circular area that is below the canopy of the tree. That's like the widest part that the leaves go. This is when you do it because citrus will bloom in early spring and you want them to be able to be as strong and vibrant as possible to be able to set good fruit. Also, if you keep chickens, this is the time of year to get on someone's list so that you can order chicks. Whether it's someone local selling chicks, whether it's hatching them out in incubators yourself, or letting a broody hen sit on eggs. Maybe it's ordering from a catalog online. This is the time of year to consider that. February is a perfect time to make those plans. Also, if your bees aren't doing well or you want to expand, February is the time of year most apiaries start their list for packages or nukes or even requests for new queens. So start making your notes for your beehives if you're a beekeeper or maybe want to become a beekeeper. This is a good time to do that. Time for the seedlings to come back in. Got to get my boys out here to carry for me. Can't carry those one-handed or we might have one fall, and that would be tragic. Be careful, don't let any fall. Those are my precious. Shoes off. Thank you. Another thing you're going to want to do is check any seedlings that you've started and possibly cup them up to the next size. My peppers start in these little 1x1 cells, but they outgrow that quickly. I pop them up to these bigger cups where their roots can have room, and I feed them with a really healthy potting soil so they get nutrients beyond what seed starter mixes don't really have. Fans are a great idea to help your seedlings slowly harden off while they're inside. Now we start our pepper seedlings, our loofah, our eggplant inside in January, but a lot of people, February is a great time to start your pepper seeds, your eggplant seeds, your loofah, anything that takes time. You also may want to start your sweet potatoes in water so that they can start sprouting their slips. It takes them a long time. So February is a good time to start that if you haven't yet. February is a great time to make those seed orders for the seeds that you're missing from your garden that you wrote down on your list. I want to try these purple snap peas because I told you purple is a favorite of mine. Making good notes really helps with future years. When you started things, approximately when they germinated and how many. I am starting lots of jalapenos because last year I still had to buy some from a local gardener to supplement to make all the cowboy candy I wanted. So that is going to be more on my garden list this year. My biggest advice for February is to dream. Make a plan, get organized. Think about something that you would love to grow this year. Think about something that maybe you haven't tried yet. Think about something that would bring you joy and get you outside and get you some good garden therapy and help your mental health. I am telling you, gardening is so worth it. I made a whole video about why you should garden. I think this is the perfect time of year to really dream big and think about what you would like to do and even start planting the seeds inside that you're able to plant in your zone. Always look at the back of the seed packet and go by the recommendations on how many weeks to start seeds inside before your last frost date. You can find your last frost date by Googling it online and finding it on the Farmer's Almanac website. Ours isn't quite accurate. Ours says middle of March. I usually plant things out here the middle of April to the end of April, but you'll also learn more of that with time and practice. It's a good rule of thumb to go by so you're not starting things way too early or way too late. Also, maybe you're a new gardener and you just want to buy starts from a local nursery, from another local gardener, even from a big box store, and that's totally fine. Make plans of what you would love to grow and then grow it. I am not the most organized person. I sure try, but I'm the type that loses the lists I make after I make them. But I do believe that writing things down and trying to take a good moment to sit and think and dream and decide, what do I actually want my garden to look like this year? It's worth it. Even if you lose the list, it's worth it because you put that time and your heart into making a plan that you can execute well. And have fun with it. Don't take yourself too seriously. Plants will die, plants will bolt. You guys saw my broccoli out there bolting and my purple cauliflower bolting, and it happens. It happens to everyone. But if you don't try, you never know what you'll actually get. And you'll get a lot of great benefits of just doing the gardening, that the harvest is just the cherry on top. Thank you for joining me. Let's dream about our summer gardens together and we can share our successes when they come. I'll see you real soon.